What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode. Thursday morning, and we have a very special guest this week. I was lucky enough to be able to link up with a comedian by the name of Siddiq. Some of you might know who he is. He's a pretty well-known comedian. He's been on, big podcasts like The Church of What's Happening Now with Joey Diaz. He has specials on Comedy Central. He has a few albums out, and he's a very, very interesting dude, to say the least. Like, I seen that he was coming to the Improv that weekend, and I've seen his stuff before, and I got tickets, and I messaged him because I was like, you know what, like, I messaged Bert Kreischer before, and he said yes, and, you know, maybe this guy is cool enough to say yes as well, and just like I thought, he hit me back, and he was like, absolutely, I'll do a podcast with you. When and where? So I was like, we could link up after your show on Thursday, if that works for you. So very welcoming. Like, the dude put on a killer set, even though he had to deal with like the bullshit with the Homestead Bridge closing. That was that day that barge got loose. But took me like 3 hours to get from Crafton to the Improv, which was a fucking pain in the ass. But yeah, so we went there, and he put on his set. A lot of the comedians that opened, and then we linked up after, and I sat down with him for, a good while. You could hear while we're interviewing that, the dude is eating and watching a Houston game, and he's from Houston, so like he's a fan. But obviously I didn't give a fuck, so you guys are probably gonna hear like some chewing and everything, but just deal with it, because this dude's dropping knowledge, and I was lucky enough to be able to have him on here, and lucky enough to be able to record an interview with him. So I don't know, man, I'm just excited about this one. So without further ado, episode 21 of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with Siddiq. Hello?
Telephone.
I'll call you right back. I'll call you right back.
Telephone.
I'll Call You Right Back podcast.
Yeah, me and Bill Bellamy came here. Yeah, me and Bill Bellamy.
And
2 years ago.
You're here all weekend. Can you introduce yourself?
You introduce me. This is your show.
This is my show. Okay.
So people who I don't know the name is this guy's show. Maybe it's just the show. I don't know. But I'm Ali Siddiq.
Siddiq, me and my buddy Eric Nesby, who was just on the podcast a couple weeks ago. We just came and seen Ali Siddiq down in the Improv. Yeah, let's sit down. Let's get comfortable. This is the second interview I've done in this green room.
Yeah, heard you told me to interview my friend.
Yeah, and I actually came across you from your Joey Diaz podcast.
On the church.
Yeah, The Church of What's Happening Now. So the podcast that I released today, this is a podcast called I'll Call You Right Back. I go around and I just talk to random people in Pittsburgh or wherever, really. Just interesting people about how they became who they are today. And like, I've listened to your albums, and I know that you were in jail. I know that you like definitely had some shit going in the past, and like, I just don't know like how you got to where you are, and I was interested about that. It's like, you said you were from Houston in your set, and that was one of the things that I wanted to know. It's where you were from, and like what kind of like, how did you get into comedy?
What do you mean? How you get into comedy as far as the industry, or as far as life?
So when was
I grew up listening to comedy?
Well, when was the first time you did stand up?
1997.
And you were how old?
25.
25. So that was after you said you got out of jail at 25. You had a clean slate.
That was 2 months after I got out. I got out in October. So November, December. I was on stage by December.
By December, and like before you went into jail, did you have any like idea to do this? Like any dreams to wanting to do this?
Yeah, as a kid.
Yeah. Who'd you grow up watching?
Pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know the cliche stuff because these are a lot of regular questions that I've answered like 2,000 times.
Yeah.
But people don't know who I grew up watching by now. Everybody that you could possibly grow up watching. There's no other people outside of,
Well, I like to ask
Lucille
people.
Ball and you watch. It was really no stand-up shows.
Yeah, like that's why it's interesting to me. I feel like you
on
could
TV.
tell.
I don't think people in the stand-up as much as they think they are now, because they only know the commercial. Stand-up is not a TV thing.
Yeah.
If you're gonna find out most comics, you're gonna have to go to clubs, comedy clubs where people are doing comedy. So if somebody asked me how I got into comedy, was my day was comedy was like hee haw, and you listen to comedy albums, you didn't watch it on TV.
Yeah.
So Carol Burnett was comedy. You know, you got Carol Burnett, you got hee haw, you got Soap, MASH, then you got cats like Rodney Dangerfield that you would see later on when HBO came out, his stand-up show. But it wasn't. Comedy is more. It's not a industry to me. It's like what you about. Like Carol Burnett is like, that's comedy. Lucille Ball was comedy. Like,
Well, the reason I ask that is like I grew up around a bunch of people who like we were always just cutting up on each other and like always just like making fun of each other and like strictly. I mean, like
see, that's
pretty
not
much
comedy to me.
Well, I understand that. It's just like some people only stay in that realm, and like I want to know like how you decided to like try to get out of that, because I recently, like Eric told you that he's a stand-up comedian here, and he was in that improv competition a couple months ago. I did my first set ever at that improv competition, and I ended up making it to the end with him. And I mean, it's something I've always been like a fan of, but like I've been a fan of it in the aspect of like I grew up watching some stand-up. I grew up watching some, like a lot of movies. Like I was a big movie person. My aunt and uncle owned like a movie store, so I always watched a bunch of comedies and things. And I never really had. I always wanted to do stand-up, but I was always like afraid, and like I didn't know, because it's a different format of comedy of how to tell a joke. I feel from like a movie, and the way that you talk, the way that you did your set, like I'm familiar with your work. I've seen you on podcasts, and that's why I do podcasts, is because you can learn a lot from people by the way that they speak, and I see like the same type of person. Whereas like a bunch of other comedians, they talk completely different than they act on stage. And I don't know. I'm interested of it all. Like I like, as you said before, you talked about it at the end of your set. You were like, this kid up here was like drawn into what I was saying. Like, oh shit. And like, you were seriously like dropping knowledge. And I was sitting there thinking, and I was like, holy fuck. Like he's like saying some shit that's getting laughs, but like, it's like serious shit. It's like you're spreading a message.
It's I don't really know how to be anything other than, because I don't think I'm what people would consider a stand-up. I'm moving away from comic. Like I don't like to be called a comic. I don't like to be called a funny man. I don't those type of titles do something to me, because now you put me in the same category with other people. Like anybody, they call people on the internet comics, comedians, and all the rest of that. I'm like, well, I'm not in that realm, nor do I want to be seen in that realm, nor do I want to be categorized as. If you putting me and certain people in the same category, I'm like, nah. different. I'm more like I guess I see stand-ups different than most people, you know, because it's basically changed. Everybody think they're stand-up. Everybody. Like you say, you know, your first time ever doing it, you got in a competition and you made it to the end with them. And in my mind, I'm like, the first thing in my mind, I'd be like, who judging?
It's bringer shows. That's what it was. It's a bunch of people that you brought. So like my friends found out that I was doing stand up, and a bunch of people that I knew were there, and like the crowd would vote each week, and you would be matched up against someone. It was a March Madness bracket.
Oh, so I get it.
So you weren't facing 32 people at one time. You were facing one other person. So if I was matched up against someone that wasn't that like that didn't do as well as me,
you had your friends.
Yeah. So I was lucky though.
And
but
I actually started in the show like that, and that didn't work out for the person. This dude to this day, he didn't like me because his family even stood up for me, and it's like I don't. It's not a true essence of anything if somebody's coming prejudged with oh, I like this person because they my family member. I didn't even start off in front of my family because that's kind of like
it's cheating.
It's not even cheating. It's like you cheating yourself. It's like if you go to church and you a singer and you sing only in church, you don't get booed in church. Don't nobody say nothing. It's all positive. So you don't never know if you can actually sing because you being coddled to for a certain place. Then you get outside your realm and then you understand that I'm really not as good. Like I never performed in front of my family. My family found out that I was doing stand-up because they would come to the show and people would be talking about, because I didn't use my last name at first. I just had Ali. No, I didn't use my first name at first. I just had Ali. And people would come like, oh, he's going to see the dude named Ali. My family would come, no, that's my son. No, that's my cousin. And they like, oh, this who y'all going to see. This is what you've been doing. I'm like, yeah. But I'm not going to tell them first to come and get padded, you know, because you don't do stuff for people. Because when are you going to be in front of a familiar audience? You said any comic that does that is setting their self up for failure, because when are you going to be in front of your friends and family all the time? Where?
Exactly. I'm setting like you were saying, setting yourself up for failure. Like I'm not getting a real reaction. I was getting, like you said, a coddled reaction. But I knew that. Like I had no high hopes for myself. I just I've been writing some shit for like the past few years, and you know, I kind of want to do it to myself. There was a local comedian named Matt Light. He's pretty well known in Pittsburgh. He was on the podcast as well. I told him the same thing. I was like, oh yeah, I always wanted to do stand up, and he started to do this competition. He was like, well, if you want to do it, the biggest part is like going up on stage. He was like, I'll sign you up. I was like, fuck it. Like I didn't know that was a thing really. Mm-hmm. But he signed me up and I did it, and like I enjoyed it. And like now, I've always been a fan of it, but like now I'm like trying to be like a student of it. And I know that like you answered these things a bunch of times, and I'm trying to think of like other questions. Like I wrote down things.
What's your question? What's the question?
Things that I wrote down about you. Mm-hmm. It's like I thought one of your funniest bits ever is whenever you were talking about the black seal and how your daughter said, by the time you get out of that pool, I'm gonna be dry. It's like that shit. Just like I thought that was hilarious, and like it was just things that I remember from like your bits about like how you said being in jail, you start missing little things like an iron.
Try, Daddy. Try.
It's like that shit was that like I thought that was hilarious in the beginning because you said Great White. That was the punchline, and I was dying, and you were like, you guys don't watch. and you know, it's like I pick up some things. Like I really I love how you sit down and you were just like, I'm not gonna fucking impress you or try to do anything. And I don't know. I like that. It's because it's different. And like you said, everyone's doing the same shit. There's a bunch of YouTube comedians. Like, look, that was the first thing I had written. YouTube comedians, kids getting famous on Instagram, you know, shit like that. Like, I want to know what you think about that because you seem like a real person. You seem like the shit that you're talking up there is the stuff that you want to
I think they just being coddled. You know, it's it's a coddling thing where they just going, I'm a play these fans. Everybody's doing the same thing. All these internet people, I didn't see anything different than any. Like if you put all of them up, and then you ask somebody, pick out the uniqueness in it. Like any dude who got followers because you got on a wig on, okay. Because you got a dress on, okay. Because you dancing, okay. Why don't nobody post your stand up though? If you a chick and you just talking about other people, you just talking about other people. So if somebody decided to just talk about you, I don't understand how that's and what makes that talent. Oh, Chris Brown, and then you comment on it. I don't understand. It makes it talent. But then I look at you, and there's so many things wrong with you. Like you got a lace front. Like you have a lace front wig. Like how much hair do you? You are a bald headed chipmunk. I understand, but I don't think that that's stand up. Because what relevant position or perspective are you given? From the symbol of stand up is two faces up there, comedy and tragedy. What perspective are you giving me? Richard Pryor had a perspective, and most comics don't see it because they be concerned about the cursing. Oh, he cursed. He said, da-da-da. But they don't actually know what makes Richard Pryor good. Fortitude. See, live from Sunset Strip. One of the biggest things to me about that was that he got booed the night before doing the same set. And he didn't actually get booed by them. They wasn't booing him. They booed because he left the stage because he felt like he wasn't giving the set the proper energy. Then the next night he comes back and now what is known as Live from Sunset Strip.
Yeah.
So it wasn't about that. Like he's not even my favorite. He's not even close to one of my favorites. You know, you like
who were some of your favorites?
People for different reasons. You like everybody for a different reason. It's no. You got people that you admire, but I don't have no bunch of. Oh, this is who I want to be like. Dick Gregory was probably the most profound comic that I've ever spent time with. But Rodney Dangerfield was one of my influences. So then you got Don Rickles, Phyllis Diller, DL, Chappelle. You have a lot of Bill Burr. You have a lot of comics that it's fun. Then you got people who you just like being around and they funny. Bert Kreischer, super funny. But he's warm. Ari Shaffir, weird and warm. So it's all these different things and different people that you like for different reasons.
Yeah.
And it's not just, it's people that you just like being around. Bill Bellamy, that's my friend, DL, mentor. So it's and then it's people who people don't even know that influence me. Des White, Dave Lawson, it's a lot of people out there.
Are you a fan of the stuff that's out there right now? Like
not a fan of nobody.
No?
Not one person. I'm not a fan of not one person. Not one. You couldn't name a comic that I could say I was a fan of.
Okay. It's understandable.
Either you're a friend, a colleague, I respect your work, but I'm not a fan of any comic. Not one.
Okay.
Not even my mentor. I'm not even a fan of my mentor. I respect DL, what he do, but I'm not a fan.
Okay.
That would be a lot for me to be a fan. I don't think I'm a fan of. I haven't been a fan of people in a long time because a lot of times fans don't see flaws. and then fans can't. Like I don't even deal with my fans. If I don't, and I tell people don't say they're a fan of mine. Either you're gonna be a part of the constituency, a constituent of mine, or man, you're gonna have a mutual respect. But I'm not. I don't need a fan because you're not gonna give me. You're not gonna give me the honest perspective that I need a lot of times because you drawn into the fan velvet.
Yeah, see that's interesting. It's like that's interesting what you just said because as we were talking about before in your set, you were like saying shit that was like ringing bells in my head, like how you were talking about like standing in line, like being programmed with a check and everything like that. Like you say things that I feel that a lot of the comedy that's out there now is just like you could just say a bunch of dumb things, like low hanging fruit almost.
Yeah.
I appreciate how you put like real things into it because it's like you could just half-ass it and just like say some shit that's gonna get like somewhat of like a dumb chuckle, but it's like you're up there and it's like you're really trying to like communicate like what the way you feel, but you also have like a funny ass way of saying it. Like we were fucking dying the entire time, and it's just you weren't even like it didn't even seem like you were trying to be funny. And
I think that's the part of it that why I don't like being called a stand up because when I was like people, oh, you start doing stand up in prison. I'm like, well, there's no stage, there's no lights, there's no cameras, there's no organized place where you go. You just it's not traditional like that. It's the thing of you sit down and you talk to somebody and somebody say something that's funny. That make them a stand up, or that make them that they said something that was funny, that's jovial that you listening to. So I'm more of that. I don't have any intent on being funny. I don't write when I'm writing things to say and my thoughts down. I don't write. They gonna laugh right here. I don't do it like it's like I'm writing like, man, I wonder, do people think like this? Okay, I think like this. Why they don't think like this? And then let me see. Then I write it down, and I say, oh, hey, do you think that people are way, way too arrogant? Like people are so arrogant and egotistical that they think nothing is happening unless they're there. Like, why is it still even a riddle to people? If a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound if there's no one there to hear it? Yeah, still makes a sound. You think ain't nothing happening because your arrogant ass is not there? So it's like saying, is this really burglary if I break into someone's house and is it really yeah, I'm gonna get burglary. It's still the same thing. Isn't it? But if they don't never notice there's something that's missing, is it burglary? Even if you run across it 8 months later, you be like, hey, did anybody notice that my damn lawnmower is missing? You're like, I think you've been burglarized. Like, I don't get it. Like, why are people so arrogant that they think nothing is happening? Was the comedy show good? You wasn't there. Maybe so, maybe not. But I take that and then I say, I'm going to put several things around that's along the same lines. Then I'll start off with, hey, people still wondering what came first, the chicken or the egg. It's obvious, the goddamn chicken, because that's why you don't see placenta bags just laid on the ground somewhere. What came first, the baby or the it's dumb. The chicken was here. Well, the chicken comes from the egg. And that man, the chicken. Period. It wasn't just the egg. It was the chicken. Why? Because don't they something had to sit on top of the egg? It was a chicken already here. That's how I think.
I mean, like, I appreciate that.
it's like
I'm trying. Listen, to be 100% real with you, it's like like you're talking about how like your friends and colleagues with all these people like Ari Shaffir, Bert Kreischer, Joey Diaz, Joe Rogan, Tom Segura, whoever. It's like these are all people that I like that I listened to for probably like the past 10 years. So it's like I sit here and I know that like our time is definitely limited. So whenever you hit me back and was like, yeah, whenever we could do this podcast, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself like your set tonight, it just made me like start thinking of a bunch of different things. It's like my thought process whenever I was writing jokes for this competition is like I wanted to write about things that I thought was funny to me, and like you said, kind of convey them and kind of like explain them to in a way that the audience would kind of understand that with me. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's just I don't know. I don't even know where I was fucking going with it. It's just like I'm trying to any stand up that I see right now, I'm trying to just learn from it and trying to just see the way that people think behind it. That's why I ask like the generic questions, like who did you enjoy whenever you were growing up? Because like everyone has a different answer, and I feel that every answer like kind of explains something else.
I would love to hear who people said they were enjoying growing up, because it wasn't accessible like that.
Yeah.
I'm 44 years old. I'm about to be 45 years old. It was not accessible like that. It just wasn't.
How was your medium to take in?
You had to buy albums.
Albums and radios.
And your parents had albums.
Yeah.
Because if your parents didn't have the albums, you listened to it over something. It was on a record player.
Yeah.
It wasn't a stand-up show. You had to watch the movie.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't all this access to stand-up like people. Oh! Like people saying that like they had. Y'all, I'm watching the game. If y'all can't realize. Oh, yeah. So it is a. Carol Burnett was like the biggest thing. Because that's what you watching.
Yeah.
Hee Haw, man, was hysterical to me. And Benny Hill. If somebody, man, Benny Hill was really my first access to what looking at, and he wasn't doing stand-up. It was like he was doing his Benny Hill thing, which was hysterical to me. And I just like to know what people like they had all this access.
So like you're pretty like you talked about how you were in jail and you started doing stand up in there like but there's
I
not
hate
what
people say that. I was being fun. It's no stand up.
Well,
like people I don't get that. I try to every time I hear that people say it, you're not the only person I stop when they say that. Any person who says that in any interview, I'm like, hey, they were not. It's not a stand-up comedy program.
I didn't know that.
In prison.
But that's what you were saying a couple minutes ago. You were just saying, like, people think you start doing stand-up in prison, but there's no stages or anything. And, like, Joey Diaz has a similar story. Like that the guy that he was, like, cool with in prison, like, gave him that notebook. And he was just, like, funny. Like, he was a person who thought things differently and conveyed them a certain way that other people could take that up and chew it up and find, like, something funny about it. But it's like he was saying that he doesn't even, like, try to do anything. It's just the way he is.
Yeah.
And
like, me and Joey talking is, like, it's crazy me and Joey be talking because there's so many intricate things that happen in prison that you can only be jovial because you're there. Like me, I used to be so irritated that people thought they was going home on like a Friday night. I'm like, yo, man, you're not going home, man. Get off the gas. And who told you that? Don't nobody go home on Saturday or Sunday. None of that. And so it's like for me to say it.
Yeah.
Everybody's thinking it. I'm just the one that said it.
Yeah.
And like, hey, why your underwear so low, dog? Like I would say, I said, do you know you the only one going there getting smalls? It's like 13 smalls on. It's like 3,000 people on this unit. You the only one to get a small. And people just laughing. I'm like, they're like, man, what you mean? Like you the only person getting your real size underwear, man. Stop it, man.
You observe things.
Like, I'm just being observant. I'm not trying to be anything, but I'm just looking at it from this perspective and saying, like,
Yeah, a different perspective. That's
yo,
like,
man, you are wow with this one. Like it's like growing up my family, man. My family just so that's my family. I don't even think that it's just something that just naturally happens.
can I ask you that story, that bit that you told about your mom pulling out that pistol and pistol whipping that guy?
Jude.
That's all. 100%. And like that. Like that was also something that I was like listening to, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And that's like a serious story, but it's like you made it like it was so funny to me because I was just like, "Holy shit!" Because you were saying like the whole story was it that
about my sister.
Yeah, your sister was like mouthing off to your mom, I guess.
No, she was trying. She left the house with this dude. My mom was like, "Yo, you ain't going over here." And she walked. She thought it was gonna be good like that. I was like, "Nah." I was young and knew it wasn't gonna be good. I just knew it. My mom just wasn't having it, man. And my mom, that's one thing I'm gonna do tomorrow. All these stories about how I hate grandparents. Like I really do, because they just
You hate them?
Yeah, they just really act like everything that you say is wrong
Or irrelevant.
or they didn't happen. Like I do this story about my mama, and my mama was like, "That didn't happen." I was like, "What?" So you trying to tell me I made up this whole...
Parents have selective hearing. My mother, I'll tell her things and she'll be like, "You never
Selective
told
memory.
me that."
See, my
wife does too, though.
My mama kicked me in the stomach one time. She swear that it never happened.
She's that story. Whenever you said that she snuck you, like that was also hilarious.
She said she swear that it never happens. Like,
so why wouldn't you tell your mom or your family about like how long did you go in before like your family started like knowing you were doing stand up? It's like you came out of jail and you said you had a clean slate.
Probably because I'm an adult.
What is it?
Probably because I'm an adult. Yeah. Like a lot of people say, "Well, how long before your family knew?" Man, I'm grown. I don't have to report to my family.
Well, I understand that, but like,
no, I'm like other people ask me.
yeah.
I'm like, I don't know when they knew. I'm like, my whole family don't even stay in Houston. It says me and my mother in Houston.
yeah.
She didn't know what I was doing. She got her own life. Like then she found out. She's like, "Hey," people like, "Yo, I think your son is hilarious." And she's like, "Probably is. I don't know. What'd he say?"
What were you like in school? Were you caught up in school?
Nope.
Not at all.
I think all those are misconceptions. Like you gotta be a class clown, stuff like that. No, I was a very isolated kid, probably violent than most. I don't know. I was just a regular kid, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wasn't the class clown. That's what I wasn't.
Yeah.
That's what wasn't by any means.
So how do you transition from being in jail for 6 years and then becoming?
You don't.
Well,
You don't.
I mean, I'm sure you don't. Like, I don't even know how
I'm just
to.
as violent as I was as I was in prison. Just as violent, just as volatile, the whole thing. And it's worse now because I'm very irritated by people.
I could tell from your set.
Because it's way more respect and courteous and people being courteous than in prison than in the free society. So things that I deal with in the free society, I would never have to deal with in prison because these are things that are like common decency.
Yeah. Holding the door, things like that.
Not being in other people's business, not talking out of turn, not saying nothing, not lying on people, not being cool with rape, not being cool with molestation, not being cool with people saying stupid shit. It's like none of that is tolerated in prison. So then you get out in the free society, all that's tolerated. All that's tolerated. People, you can't be fake in prison. You can't be one thing one day and another thing the next day. It's not gonna happen because in prison it's categorized: lions, wolves, and lamb. Point blank. And then I couldn't count on my hands somebody who would disrespect me in prison unless they wanted to deal with the consequences. Because there are consequences. There are consequences. And they're dire consequences. So people in the free society don't understand consequences. So
They just do things without thinking that there is no consequences. That's what you're saying, right?
So it's they don't understand how dire the consequences can become.
Yeah.
Because see,
They've never seen it.
yeah, they never been in a position, and most people allow or they tend to gravitate, like the Meek Mills thing. Like, I didn't never understand because I'm a person who's been really incarcerated. I done really done some time, so I don't understand what was the thing. Well, you know, the justice system. Don't give me the fucking justice system shit. Give me what the fuck Meek Mills, what Meek Mills was unjust at. Let me tell me what happened that you are free Meek Mills and all the rest of this goofy shit. I want to know, because it's my tolerance for you supporting this stupid shit, I don't get. Well, he can't. Well, he's been going through. He's been on probation, which is not parole. That means that you haven't done a sentence. Okay, so I knew the rules of being on parole. I knew what I could and could not do. On probation, I knew what I could or could not do. I wouldn't be doing a wheelie through New York City on a bike on probation.
Yeah.
Why? Because I know I have to get permission to go from Philly to New York.
Yes.
And I know in order to get permission, they give you the rules and conditions of that city. And you have written permission. I guarantee you did not have the written permission to all the places that you had been, because they could have violated you. Mm-hmm. Then you on videos, on stuff, smoking weed, intoxicant, while you on probation. They could have violated you then, but they did not. So my thing is, how is it? Off. I knew it was gonna be off in the corner. I knew it was gonna be off. He shouldn't even try to shoot it. How is it that you feel so unjust because they gave you a violation after you have been violating for maybe about 4 or 5 years?
Yeah. So like, I get what you're saying now. Like why do you feel so?
Why did the people gravitate towards the shit? And it's so unjust, and it's so this, the justice system. But you ain't said a motherfucking thing about Mumia Abu-Jamal or Geronimo Pratt or the millions of people that have been incarcerated because this motherfucker is a rapper, and all of a sudden he gets some fucking 5 months for doing a wheelie down the street. So I don't gravitate towards that faggot shit like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, man, even in the street, man, I'm built just like this. You don't want to fuck with me if you ain't ready to die. And you can come with a gun, you can come with a knife, but I'm ready to dismantle you with my hands.
Yeah.
Cause I know you, even if you brought your crew to jump on me, I ain't gonna back down. I ain't gonna back down. I know me. I know what type of cloth I'm cut from.
Yeah.
And I know for real, because I've been in real situations to where the situation was dire and I stood 10 toes down, ready to die on my sword or kill with my sword. Either way.
Yeah.
And if you talking about fist fighting, bring your ass on then. Bring it on. Just bring. If you think that a fist fight is gonna stop something, bring that shit on. I said, man, you don't understand. A gang initiation is 5 in a circle. You can't fall.
5 people beating you up in a circle.
No, ain't no beating you up. 5 people trying.
Yeah, and you have to fight.
I've never been beat up in my whole entire fucking life. Even I've been jumped on, I've never been beat up. I'm the type of person, if you fight me with a group of people, you and the group will never want to fight me again. The group, you could ask them 7 motherfuckers, they be like, nah, we cool. Because the only way to defeat me, man, you got to cut off both my fucking hands, my feet. You got to take my teeth out take my eyes out. I can't hear where you coming from. You got to cut my ears off. Because that's how I was in prison. I'm a lion. The only way lions roll by themselves. I'm not a wolf. I don't roll in no pack. Because see, wolves can become lamb. Because you ain't got your pack no more.
Yeah.
But I'm a lion. Dolo. Every prison I went to, dolo. You come for me, you don't leave.
You said that there was a time where you thought you weren't going to be able to leave, and
Because I was gonna kill this officer named Mitchell.
Yeah.
For disrespect, and I stood on that.
Yeah, and like that story, like I mean, I understand that it was on like technically like a comedy special, but like you could hear
That's the thing. This Is Not Happening is not a comedy special.
It was just,
I did that story on This Is Not Happening.
Did you?
Mitchell. I did that story on This Is Not Happening.
Wasn't it on the CD with the blue?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
that's This Is Not Happening. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, when I did the story came from one of my albums.
Yeah.
And all of my albums are true things. It's like that's why they titled the way they titled. And when I did it, it was to show the transition from being a young kid doing Mexican Got On Boots to what happens from a 19-year-old kid to now you done put me in this atmosphere and now I'm different. What the justice system does to you. So I was like, fuck what Meek Mills is talking about. They can just look at the transition of how it happens. See, this is the truth and the clarity of it changes everything. Cause see, this is fable. This is, look at the line. You can go through the story. You can go, and other people who've been in that situation like, nah, he's telling the truth because they know the situation.
Yeah.
And that's why when I did the story, I'd said the person's name, Mitchell, and I said the unit because they know he worked there.
Yeah.
And I described him. He looks like Flanders. And I made it a point. I made it a point for people to understand. So even when I went to prison and did my special. I got into it with a dude while I was in prison shooting a special. And I was like, yo, man, you a kid to me, man. You a kid. And if you think that I'm gonna let you make it, oh, trust and believe I'm not. I beat your ass with these $1,500 boots on. I don't give two shits about being that you locked up and I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because respect has always been number one.
Yeah. It's like you were saying before, like that guy, the Bombay guy, he was trying to say that like you didn't know. He was like, you won't know where it was.
He didn't say you wouldn't know.
So for people who are listening, like he was saying, what part of India are you from? And he was like, oh, West. And he was like, no, what part? And he was like, you wouldn't know where. And he was like, don't fucking act like I don't know what's going on. And you absolutely knew what was going on. And like I knew that like I seen on your post you were talking like there was you said something about like fasting for like Ramadan. Mm-hmm. And I knew that as soon as you said, how do you not know where I'm from? Like, how do you know that I don't know what you're talking about? Like, I was like, oh shit. I was like, I can't wait to see what he says.
Like, where you get that from? Like, cause the thing is, they always talk South or where. I'm like, man, where are you from in India? Don't tell me West. Yeah. That's the direction. Where are you from?
So you,
like, dude, like I know a lot about a lot of places. I done been a lot of places. I'm like, you do know I have a passport. Like yeah. you looking at me as, oh, you're a regular black. Like if I was white, he would have just told me where. Because in his mind, I've traveled there.
Yeah, I think it's dumb because I've never been anywhere out of the country. So like, I mean,
then he said Canada. Know. I was like, whoa, Canada. My whole tour started in Canada. The whole Out on Bonds tour started in Canada, man. And I had a great time. And I didn't even get into. I just said Toronto. Yeah. I didn't get into Edmonton and Vancouver, all these places that I've been, Calgary and all this stuff in Canada. I'm like, yo, man.
And you said that's the best place.
Like, yeah, that's one of the best places.
I've never been there. That's where I'm trying to go next.
Say, man.
I've never I haven't traveled a lot. Like I've recently just got married, so like I went to like Boston. We went to Colorado. Well, we went to Salem because like I love horror movies and shit, and like my wife is into it too. So we went to go see Salem like right before Halloween. We got married on fucking Friday the 13th.
That's Boston has a lot of Eurythmians.
What is it?
Eurythmians.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm probably the most.
They have Eurythmians and Cape Verdeans in Boston. Like a lot of them. It's like it's a country right the Coast Ave, right on the like by crossing Seychelles. And it's a lot of them, man, in Boston. The whole section. They look like Puerto Ricans.
Okay.
They're not. They're Africans. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like so around. I'm trying to process all this shit that I want to just fucking ask you. Like, what I really want to ask you, because we were talking before. I asked you how you got into stand up. I don't understand how, like, you go from getting out of jail. Like, what was your thought process after that to like what you were doing? Like, how did you go from just being in jail to deciding like, oh, I'm gonna go start doing these shows. I'm gonna go start doing these open mics. Like, what was that whole like? Never.
Nope.
You started off at a show.
I never did open mic.
Yeah, but you said that your first time was like one of them competition type shows. No,
I didn't say that. I said I was in a competition. I didn't say my first time doing nothing was in a competition. I went my first time ever on stage is a place called Just Joking, with that Apollo night, where they boo you or whatever. So.
Did you do well your first time?
I got booed. It didn't bother me because I didn't say nothing. So it wasn't even, they wasn't booing the material. They was booing the setup. They were like, I walked up on stage. They didn't like that I had on the suit. It was college night. They booed me. I ain't tripped. I waited 2 weeks, came back. Long story short, next month I was host of the Apollo night for 2 years.
Now, are you like are you someone that like does like crazy homework with it and like writes all the time, or does it like more come natural? Like, do you do a lot of stage work? I feel it's like, do you go up on stage and like try to like do?
You saw me tonight. Did I do a lot of crowd work?
Well, I mean, you did. You talk to people and everything, but like
that's not crowd work. That's talking. Crowd work is, man, look at you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the guy who sat us, like he was like, do you want to sit front row? And we were like, we don't care. I mean, like, we both performed and like we weren't really worried about it, but I listened to your stuff and I don't remember ever you like fucking with the audience or anything. But nope. I don't know, like I feel that the line from being just like an amateur to being like I would consider you to be like professional, whatever you would consider yourself, but like I think that comes in like the relaxation up on stage. I had a show a week and a half ago where I fucked up real bad, and it was like the first time I felt like I don't know, a bomb or whatever. It was just like a terrible thing. So I feel that you being able to do your whole set being relaxed and like look as like smooth as you can. I don't know how to explain it. Like I don't have.
I've been doing stand up for 20 years.
Well, I get that.
So no, it's not easy as just getting. It's like I'm 20 years doing what I do. Like it's not. I didn't do open mics. That wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
But I had been talking and being jovial in prison for 6 years.
Yeah.
Really, let's say 4, because the first 2 I was wild as hell. So I was like, I don't do stand. It's like this is my normal. Y'all just saw me in the barbershop whenever I come to the barbershop.
That's what I felt like it was. Just I didn't feel like it was a show. I felt like you were talking. And that's why I'm asking, like, is that like a set? Like what you're doing? Like, do you have shit planned, or is that like you just talking about things that
I did three stories from my special, and people didn't even realize it because they don't know my material. Yeah, it's easy when people don't know my material. It's people who know me and know like, oh, he's doing a piece of his special, or he doing something from this album, but he's doing a story from here. I don't have to remember nothing because it's all true.
Yeah. That's what Mark Twain says. That's a Mark Twain quote.
It depends on what I feel like talking about at that time. I don't have to. I don't. If I start talking about my daughter, the Black Seal, it's a true instance. So I don't have to remember it.
Yeah. If you tell the truth, you never have to remember anything.
So I'm like, yo, man, I'm not.
What did you think of the crowd in Pittsburgh? Like, obviously, we had a fucked up situation because that bridge. Do you know what happened?
A barge, something.
Yeah, a barge disconnected from a boat, and there was coal pouring into the river, like a fuckload of tons of coal.
The crazy thing. Outside my window,
Yeah.
I get up randomly and look outside and see this barge
Yeah.
with all this coal on it.
Yeah.
I don't pay no attention.
That thing's gone. Flipped over in the river.
So, now you just not telling me that barge was the one that
100%.
And I just know that barge.
100%. That dude, that whatever happened, it disconnected, and I guess they were afraid it was going to like hit the bridge or something. So they closed the bridge right there. I was literally right there. Had to go all the way around, and obviously it's rush hour traffic. Everywhere you drive, there's going to be traffic, but it was a fucking mess. I live a half hour away. It took me 3 hours to get here, and like Eric was waiting for a minute because we were planning to be here early, go get some food, come over here and watch it because like we usually show up early, you know, just chill. But
Okay, I'm watching the game, y'all.
yeah, you're rooting for Houston, obviously. But
Like
yeah,
what's crazy is
I think people fucked up.
I know both of them dudes. They just show Hakeem and David Leonard. I know both of them.
Yeah.
Like I done prayed next to Hakeem. Now I know David Leonard because we have one of the mutual friends. Like I know this fat boy here. I've been knowing his daughter.
Shaq's on TV.
His daughter was taller than me when she was 8.
How tall are you?
5'7".
5'7".
She was 8 years old. She was taller than me when she was 8, man. Incredible.
So I don't know, like I'm super ignorant about everything, but you're like a dude that's just like in jail and stuff. How are you so nice? Like you're so respectable and like you're like you don't have to fucking answer some random kid's DM. You know what I mean? To saying, hey, do you want to be on my podcast that's only 20 episodes deep? Like why are you like why the fuck are you the way you are? Like so many people are dickheads. I don't get it. It's like you're such a nice guy. You're like, oh, I know these fucking guys on Houston Rockets. I know Shaq. Like I don't understand why people have to be so like arrogant about things whenever they're not even anything. And you're just like to me, you're obviously a fucking celebrity, and we're sitting in this room, and you're like any regular person.
I'm not a celebrity. I don't see myself like that. I don't want to be viewed like that.
Even though you don't want to be, though.
If people around me act like, look at Rusty. Look at Rusty Harden. Drunkest lawyer you ever want to see. But I love him though. But I don't
like it's wild to me that you're just friends with these people that I've listened to for literally like thousands of hours. Like Joey Diaz and all them. Like,
oh yeah, that's the homie.
Do you do this often?
Yeah, man, I'm pretty much even kill. I'm the same all the time, man. I don't really try to change it up too much with the I'm me.
Yeah, but I mean, you talk to random people in the city.
Yeah.
Like people just hit you up all the time.
No, but it's certain times people hit me up, and I don't get back with them because I didn't see it. It's too late.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
if I see it, I'm coming to somebody say they're asking me for something, I'm like, okay. It's crazy. We try and do this podcast, but it's
all right.
It's right on the edge.
Hey, I understand it
of everything.
I'm not worried about it at all.
We've been genuine with people. You'll live the richest life you ever live. Like I can literally walk around the city with no money because I've been so good to people. I've been in the streets, left my wallet, and just saw somebody say, "Hey, you $40," and I bring it back to you. I'm like, what's up? I'm like, man, I ain't got no gas. I'm out here. I ain't got no money, nothing. No, man, I'll get you some gas. Which is a thing to me. Well,
just be good to people.
just be good to people, and you don't have to worry about a lot of the things, man. So it's nothing. What is it to me to do a podcast with somebody who asks?
Yeah.
Why turn them down? They ask.
I respect that. I mean,
You know, it's a Thursday night. What am I? What?
it's like, and I figure
not?
I did that in the past whenever I asked Bert. It's like, what does it hurt to ask? People are good people.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Bert, like you said, is like, he was one of the nicest people ever. Like whenever we were talking
Bird is
to him.
one of the nicest people on this planet.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, I was fortunate enough for that, fortunate enough for this, and can I ask you? I do this segment at the end. It's real quick. It's called Desert Island Questions. Okay, I give you three categories, and you get a choice for each category to take with you on a desert island. So I give you the first category as a movie. If you could choose a movie to take on a desert island, I usually give people three choices, but like since we're running on time,
I know my movie. Talk to me.
Talk to me.
Talk to me. Peter Green.
Peter
Don
Green.
Cheadle.
Okay,
Watch it every day.
every day. I've never seen it. I'm gonna watch it though. I promise you, I'll watch that. I will.
Good movie. Talk to me. Peter Green. Don Cheadle. Go ahead.
You said you read. Mm-hmm. My second question is, if you could take a book with you, do you know what it would be?
The Quran.
The Quran?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Take the Quran.
Third question, if you could take one album.
One album?
Musical album, anything. Musical, comedy, whatever.
One album.
I know it's a hard question. That's why I usually
I
give
just
people
take
three.
Michael Jackson.
Michael
I
Jackson?
just take any Michael Jackson album. Just listen to that thing over and over again. Might well.
That's a good answer.
Might well take a Michael Jackson record. You're
and,
going to have a good time.
The last question of the podcast is, if you could speak with anyone, alive or dead, who would it be and why?
Alive or dead?
Yes.
I'll talk to Malcolm.
Okay.
I'll talk to Malcolm. Talk to Malcolm X.
All right.
No.
Elise Siddiq, I appreciate you being on I'll Call You Right Back podcast. Take a second, plug whatever, since you could plug it to my couple hundred followers.
Hey, just go watch my special on Comedy Central. It's a dope one. It's bigger than these balls. That's it. That's all I got.
Check him out doing stand-up, because he is it's an experience. Definitely an experience. After we seen that crowd before, we weren't sure how you would feel about Pittsburgh. Are you going to come back?
Oh, man, this is my second time in Pittsburgh. I love Pittsburgh.
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks for everyone listening.
Rockets won, baby.
Houston won. Night's good. We're good. Ending it on this. Thanks again.